3 years ago, I was on holiday in Bali for 3 weeks. And while I was there, I booked weddings for about $20,000 or 200,000 Norwegian kroner for the upcoming summer. And that was without doing anything to make it happen. It was all because my website was set up to get me booked by the right people who wanted me to photograph their wedding right here in my hometown. Yeah, this is another replay episode, but hear me out. I do this for several reasons. One, because I need a break. Two, because you might have missed or forgotten about some of the earlier episodes. And three, to show you that it's okay to reuse content and create a more sustainable business that way, okay? So, this episode is about your website because chances are that your website just isn't good enough. It's probably pretty, but it should be so much more. You're listening to Sustainable Photography, a podcast all about business tips, inspiration, and confidence building. I'm Ingvild Kolnes, the host of this podcast, and after over a decade as a photographer, I now help talented photographers run sustainable businesses. And for full transparency, you should know that I'm a mentor with paid offers, and I will probably mention some of those in this episode. Your website can, and in my opinion should, work for you and give you inquiries while you focus on other things. I've previously done an episode on SEO and getting found in search results, so if you want to learn more about that, you should go check out episode 15. But getting to the point where your website shows up in relevant searches is extremely valuable. It's definitely my favorite way of marketing. But for you to get inquiries from those search results, it's not enough for you to have a website that shows up when people are searching. So let's talk about some mistakes you might be doing on your website. The first thing might be that the focus of your website is that it should be pretty. Because you're a photographer, you have such an aesthetic mindset that has been your main focus. You want it to look nice. The design is pretty. And the function is lacking. It doesn't work the way it should. It doesn't help you to actually get booked. It just looks nice. Because think about it. What's the goal of your website? The goal of your website is for you to get inquiries. It's for the visitor to reach out to you and say, hey, I want you to photograph us. So your job is to guide your visitors to make that happen. You need to show them the information that they need, and you need to show them the way to the contact form. Another mistake that I see all the time is photographers not daring to stand out. So often I see the same kind of colors and I see the same kind of words used on most photographers' websites, and it's not doing you any favors. The most important thing you can do is to dare to stand out and get really clear on who you are and who you want to work with. That way, you can get booked based on that instead of just being kind of similar to everyone else, and then you'll end up getting chosen if your prices are the lowest because there's not anything else separating you from everyone else. Okay, the third thing is, as I said, you want to make sure that you're guiding your website visitors to your contact form and to the information that they need. And to do that, you need to have clear buttons and links, taking people around the website and showing them the way. That's your job to make sure that is there. Without it, they're going to have to look around and spend a lot of time trying to find their way, and they're most likely going to give up in the process. And you don't want that. You want to make it so easy. So take charge and show them the way. Okay, so I mentioned that you have to dare to stand out and your own colors and words and all that. And the fourth thing is that when you have decided on who you are and how you want to show up, you have to make that branding consistent. If you have like 7 different fonts on your website, it's going to look all hectic and scrambled, and it's not going to give a good first impression or a good impression at all, really. And you want to make sure that you're using fonts that are big enough because you don't want to make it hard to read. Same goes for colors. I know that it's often quite common to use quite a light color and then have a white font, but that is so hard to read. So you want to make sure that it's easy to read the things that are on your website. Again, there's no point people coming to your website if they don't understand what it actually says and they have to struggle. So I think we've made it to number 5 now, and that is that you don't have enough photos on your website. You need to have photos to really showcase what you do, to really show your style and the vibe of your photos. And I really recommend that you don't hide all of your photos on a portfolio page. You want to scatter them around your website to make sure that they're unavoidable. You want to make sure that they're seen. And on the opposite end, you might not have enough text. Because unfortunately, you're not likely to get booked based on your photos alone. You need some text to explain what you do and to connect with people. And you also need text to be able to show up in search results. So you need text on all of your pages and you need the buttons on all of your pages to guide your people around. When someone lands on your website, they'll form their first impression in only a fraction of a second. Then they are going to start looking around and they'll know within another couple of seconds whether they're going to stay or go. And this time frame actually goes down all the time because our attention span just becomes less and less and less. That means that the top part of your website is the most important part. So you have to make it clear right away who you are the right photographer for. A generic text like photographer in Oslo or your name or a quote, that isn't enough. Honestly, it all comes back to who you want to work with. And do you even know? The clearer you are on that, it's going to be easier for you to create the website that you need to be able to draw those people in. So if you want to redo your website, that's actually where you need to start. You need to figure out who you want to work with and what they want and need from you. And that's what you should focus on. You need to make it super clear what they're going to get from you, all the reasons why you are the right photographer for them. And you need to let go of all of the people that aren't a good fit for that. And I know that is the hardest part for most. But if you try to be the photographer for everyone, you probably won't get booked by the right ones. Okay, so back to your website. What's the goal of your website? Why do you have a website? It's probably to get more inquiries. So what can you do to make that happen? You have to make sure that your website visitor finds your contact form, and your job is to make it easy for them and to give them the information that they need to learn that you are the photographer that they are looking for. So you can't take anything for granted. You can't expect them to understand something that you haven't explained properly. You have to really spell it out. What do your clients get from working with you? Why should they choose you? So without looking at your website, I'll say that you're right now making one of two mistakes. One, either there's no information about you, like not a photo, not where you're based, not even your name, or your website is all about you. What you like to photograph, how you like to work, why you do things the way you do. Your clients should do you a favor by booking you. But your website should not be about you. It should be about your client from their point of view, what they want, what they get. So make it clear that you know them without talking about yourself. But you also need a section about you. You need to include your name and your photo and where you're based, where you work, and even some information about you because you want to be relatable. But that shouldn't be the first thing that the website visitor sees. Here in Norway, having all your prices listed on the website is required by law. You can't just have starting prices. So here we don't have to worry about what strategy to use to share or not to share pricing. But based on my own preferences, when I'm looking to hire someone and my research, I am a huge fan of listing prices. Because I bet you're losing out on a lot of inquiries if you don't list your prices, because potential clients won't have any idea if you're in their price range or not. Now, I completely agree that pricing shouldn't be a determining factor for getting booked or not, but your prices are also a huge part of your brand. High prices scream high quality, while low prices are for those on a budget. So if you share your prices, you're being transparent and you're making it clear who you're right for. Either way, when you do share your prices, make sure that you list out what's included. So have a clear overview of everything they get and also why they want it. So often I see photographers taking things for granted. Like, of course, they know what high resolution images mean or what the purpose of an in person sales meeting is. But no, you have to spell it out. You have to show that you are the expert that your clients are paying you to be. But you have to use a language that they can understand. So, as you might be able to tell, websites are a huge passion of mine. I know how powerful they can be and how easy it is to mess it up and lose out on so much. I also know how much time photographers spend on making their websites, and that is time they should be spending photographing. Because of that, I want to start offering website design because you should have a website that is beautiful, that shows up in search results, and get you booked. Your website can probably do a lot more for you than it is today. It can be proof of authority, help you get visible, and also be an important source of new bookings. If you want a new website, reach out to me and let's start the work. Go to ingvildkolnes.com/website to sign up or join the waitlist if I'm already fully booked. You just listened to an episode of Sustainable Photography. Please share this episode with a photographer you care about.